About 2 months into my Raven tour, I got picked for a T-28 checkout, and the checkout was something else. Here I was about a 700-hour pilot, most of it in the Bird Dog, and they sent me down to Udorn for 2 days, count them, 2 days. First day was my transition. I learned how to fly this beauty on about 2 flights on the first day. Did something like 15 landings. Next day they took us to the range. We dropped practice bombs, shot rockets, shot the guns. The end of that afternoon, they shipped me back up to Laos with holy water sprinkled on me as a T-28 combat pilot. The T-28 was a fantastic bombing platform. I can't stress that enough, and I'm sure Jack will talk about that a little bit in a minute here. As soon as I got back up to my site at Laos, first thing I did was I told the crew chief, load up a T-28, I'm going to go have some fun. So I took off with a full load, headed up west along the Mekong River. My roommate was working some U.S. airstrikes on some North Vietnamese targets over there. So I checked in with him, asked him if he needed any help, and as luck would have it, he had run out of the white phosphorus smoke rockets. And he asked if I'd mark a target for him. Well, that target was a 50 caliber machine gun pit. Yeah. So anyway, in the T-28, my first live bomb, the first real bomb I ever dropped, I rolled in, put the pipper on the target, squeezed it off, pulled off, and it hit the middle of that 50 caliber pit. 4 bad guys and a machine gun killed on my first bomb in combat off of this airplane. And the moral of that is not so much that I'm a good pilot, which I am, I might add, but the fact that the T-28, if you hit your parameters of airspeed, dive angle, and pickle altitude, allow a little bit of windage, you're going to put those bombs where you want them. Fantastic bombing platform. Another example came in one day. One evening we were sitting around drinking whiskey, which was highly unusual in Laos. Very seldom do we drink over there. And one of the CIA guys came in. Oops, did I say that? One of the agency guys, an uninterested agency, came in and said, we've got a problem up north. We've had a helicopter, had maintenance problems. One of our H-34s went in on top of a ridge line. We're not going to be able to get to it tonight. We're afraid the bad guys are going to booby trap it. So we'd like to have somebody destroy it tomorrow. Any volunteers? So I killed an airplane. The only bad thing is it's our airplane. One of the H-34s, they couldn't get it out of there. So next morning early, I threw one of the maintenance guys in the back seat. And incidentally, is Lance Borden here? There's Lance. Lance was one of our ground crew over there. And he and I flew on one of these 2 missions I'm about to talk about. Lance, good to see you. We took off in cans of napalm. Now, the only reason I can explain why I only took 2 is that I'm a lieutenant, and lieutenants never need more than 1 or 2 to kill a target. So I took off with 2 cans of napalm, flew over that helicopter, dropped the first one, and as I pulled off the target, I looked back over my shoulder, and I could see that helicopter rocking. I had hit it dead center with that can of napalm, but unfortunately it dudded. The second one did too. So now I've got a helicopter down there that's drenched with candied jelly gasoline, and I've got to find a way to set that stuff off. So I went back, got in the U-17, threw another one of the guys in the side seat of that airplane, went back with white phosphorus rockets, and I ignited that stuff, blew up the helicopter. So again, you know, the moral of that one is that this airplane, you meet the parameters, it's going to put the bombs where you want them. Like I said, it was highly survivable. One other mission I'm going to talk about just briefly, to kind of touch on it a little bit, is one along the Chinese road. I mentioned before the Chinese were building a road down through northern Laos. In fact, talking to Jack, he was one of the guys that first saw it about 4 or 5 years before we went up there, and it was a super highway. The politicians' fear was that the Chinese were going to build this road through northern Laos, join up with Route 19 out of North Vietnam, and then go right down the valley to the Mekong River into Thailand. And for those who were around then, you know that the domino theory was a very big political reality. Everybody was afraid that if Vietnam fell, Laos would fall, Thailand would fall, and on down to the communists. So they wanted more information on that. We kind of worked for and our chain of command was very convoluted up there. We were in civilian clothes, the Air Force couldn't tell us what to do. We kind of worked for the ambassador. And the U.S. ambassador wanted more pictures of that road. So we, that's good vodka, thanks. The ambassador wanted some good pictures of that road, and one thing that a lot of people don't know is that there was a reconnaissance version of this T-28. They took an RF-84 camera package out of the belly of that airplane, put it in the belly of the T-28, and it took some great pictures. So we set up a flight one day. They had the guppy, as it was called, because of that pregnant bulge on the belly. At Udorn, they sent it up country. We ended up with 5 airplanes, our T-28 in the lead with the camera package. We had 2 Laotians flying T-28s on one wing. We had myself and another American on the other wing. We went up one arm of the Chinese road, taking good pictures all the way, getting some good shots, came back down. Nothing happened, which surprised us because they had 57 millimeter, 37 millimeter ZPU, 50 caliber guns all along both arms of that leg, or that road. So we finally got back down to the V, the southern part, turned up the other branch, and about this time, looking out ahead, it was like the heavens had opened up from the ground. There was more crap coming up from the ground at us. It was just unbelievable. In fact, later when we reviewed the film, the guy in the guppy, the picture taker, as he rolled away from some of that fire, his cameras kept going, and he's got pictures of the sky showing tracers coming up everywhere around him. When I saw that happen, the first thing that happened was the guy that was number 2 between me and lead pulled straight up into the clouds. We had about a 5,000 foot above the ground deck. He went into the clouds and disappeared. I bunted over, armed up all of my rockets, and fired them where I saw most of the fire coming from, and then I got out of there, and the 2 little guys in T-28 were beating the heck out of the whole area. So the good news is we all got out of there safely. We didn't take any hits on that, which still amazes me to this day, and I'm a firm believer in luck or providence when it comes to avoiding ground fire in combat. And made it back. The embassy loved the picture, so successful mission. So I don't want to get too much into the definition of the Ravens, but that's a little bit of my experience in the T-28. Like I said, it's just a fantastic airplane, great in combat, very survivable, and I'm sure Jack can tell you a little bit more about that. Sam?